Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to talk about why unwanted things show up in our environment and why bad things happen. Because if I am the one creating it all, then you would think that it would make sense to make everything always be perfect, right? So why is the world not like that? Why do unwanted things continue to appear even though we supposedly should be able to create whatever we want? Well, to understand this, we need to go back to the perspective that I have talked about in another video. And that is that this world and this life is a game that I am choosing to play. Right? Now, if we think of a game, any game, it can be a board game, a video game, a sport, anything. Imagine if the moment you started playing, you got taken straight to the end and you got told, "Well done, the game is finished. You've won. Here's your prize." You might think that's great the first time or the first few times, but imagine you did it again and again, and every time you tried to start the game, you just could never get into it, and it took you straight to the end. You'd probably get a bit bored of it, wouldn't you? And you get fed up of it eventually, because the real juice, the real reason you want to play is for the fun of playing the game. Sure, you want to win, but really what you want is to have the experience of using your skills, overcoming challenges, having the possibility of things going wrong and then seeing them going right. It's the experience as a whole that brings fulfillment, not the getting to the end by itself. Now let's take a look for a moment at something completely different. I want you to think about air, the air that you breathe. I think you'll agree with me that air is something that is vitally important for your existence, and that if it wasn't there, it would be a big problem. But how much fulfillment does it actually give you that you have air? I don't mean now that you're thinking about it. I mean before I mentioned it. Chances are that you hadn't even thought about air for a very long time, and you have no experience of fulfillment as a result of having air, because it is something that is so obviously there and that you take so much for granted that you have no sensory experience in relation to it. Am I right? I want you to really take a moment and notice this and let it sink in, that when something is always constantly there, it kind of fades into the background and you don't have any experience of it whatsoever. Whereas if we take something like a car or a house or money, something where you feel it's possible to not have it, then the fulfillment we feel when we do get it is a lot stronger, because that feeling of not knowing whether you will have it or not makes you feel that yearning for it. And then when it arrives, it's like the thing fills up that yearning feeling and gives an immense feeling of fulfillment. So if you look at things from this perspective, you can see how the lack of something, or your perceived possibility that you might not be able to have this thing, is actually a necessary part of experiencing the fulfillment of having the thing. And when you start to see things from this point of view, and you start to understand that this whole world is like a playground that you are creating for yourself, an experience that you are choosing to give yourself, then you'll begin to see and understand why you are giving yourself the illusion of limitation and of things going wrong, because those are necessary ingredients in order to move from lack to fulfillment. You can't have the feeling of fulfillment without the possibility of lack. You simply can't experience one without the other, because you would experience it as something static, something that is always like that. And so you wouldn't have that feeling of moving from, say, being cold to being warm, for example, or from being in the dark to switching on the light. And when you get this, then it becomes much easier to enjoy this life for what it is. It means that when you see something unwanted, instead of feeling like, "Oh my God, this is terrible, I need to change this right this second," and going into panic and fight mode, you can understand that At a higher level of yourself, you are placing this into your reality for a beneficial reason. You can start to look at it in context as part of the evolution of a story that is moving you from the feeling of lack to the feeling of fulfillment. It's giving you the opportunity of having a new experience of noticing a desire and choosing to go on the journey of moving from not having the thing you want to having the thing you want. So the more you understand that it is the experience as a whole that brings fulfillment and not the end part by itself, the more you will start welcoming everything that shows up in your life, because you'll start to see that it's all there for a beneficial purpose. You'll stop wanting to make those seemingly unwanted things go away, because you'll begin to see what those things are there for and how important and useful they are. Of course, it's a bit of a paradox, because it's not that you want to keep those unwanted things there forever. It's the fact that you want to make the unwanted thing go away and be replaced by the wanted thing that makes you want to go on this journey and reach the point of fulfillment. But you will begin to see the journey for what it is, and you'll begin to allow yourself to enjoy it more, to enjoy the journey as a whole, as opposed to making it all about getting to the end and only allowing yourself to be happy and enjoy your life once you get to the end. It's actually the whole experience that becomes enjoyable, because you know what it's all for. If you think about it, the point of playing a game, any game, is to have the experience of playing the game. Yes, of course you have a desire to win, but that's more like a carrot to make you go on the journey. You don't really want to jump straight to the end. You think you do, but that's only because you're looking at things from the perspective of being this little human and thinking that you can't have certain things, and so you feel this urgency to get to the end and have this guarantee that you get to have this and hold it in your hands. But if you zoom out and see it as an experience that you are creating for yourself, then you can begin to see how all the twists and turns and the seeming challenges and the illusion of the possibility of losing is actually all there for your own benefit. You're placing all of that there to make the game more interesting, to make your experience more fulfilling. And so you don't need to fight against those things anymore. You can just see it all for what it is and just enjoy this amazing experience that you've created for yourself. So this is what I encourage you to do. Start seeing everything from this perspective. Start seeing it all as a game or a setup that the you from a higher perspective is orchestrating and organizing and putting in place in order to give you maximum fulfillment. And understand that maximum fulfillment doesn't come from the absence of unwanted things. It's actually the opposite. The more you have the potential for unwanted, the more satisfying the experience of fulfillment will be. And when you can see things this way, life becomes this wonderful adventure. You start to see the purpose of those seemingly unwanted things that show up. You don't let it throw you. You learn to look at a situation and immediately extrapolate to the end point that you want based on what you're seeing and experiencing. And then you let your higher self create that for you. And then it just becomes a case of enjoying going on that journey and seeing how it all unfolds and seeing how all the twists and turns end up leading to your chosen outcome. And when you approach life like this, it becomes really fun, because you know that your chosen end result is a given. And then it becomes just the fun of finding out how it all happens and how these seemingly unwanted things ended up being turned around, and how everything became completely transformed into whatever it was that you chose and produced your desired end. Okay, so that's it from me for today. As usual, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. or you can come and find me on Facebook or through my website. Please subscribe if you haven't already. That will help me a lot to continue producing more of these videos. And thanks again for your support. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.